Shanahan just signed an extension. And yet there are people that are dialing up this, he's on the hot seat, he's going to be replaced, he's feeling heat, he's feeling pressure. Feeling heat, feeling pressure, okay, I'm there. Are the Yorks? I mean, what do you think? Do you think Shanahan's legitimately on the hot seat? They were in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I don't think he's legitimately on the hot seat. I know that there was some chatter going into the year. If the Niners falter a little bit, could they move off of Kyle Shanahan? Look, since he took over in 2017, the Niners have been one of the most successful organizations in the sport. They've been one of the most well-run organizations in the sport. This isn't just for me. There have been agent polls. There have been player polls. There have been executive polls that always have the Niners top 2 to top 5 as far as the best organizations in the sport. And when you're in a big money-making business like this, the 49ers have been able to host a lot of playoff games. They've sold a lot of merchandise, and they've been at the forefront of innovative offense. Kyle Shanahan has had multiple coordinators hired by other teams. I know he hasn't won the big game, but he's still been one of the top head coaches in the game since 2017. He rebuilt the Niners. He picked them off the scrap heap, and he's turned them into a truly elite organization. I mean, 4 NFC championship games in the last 5 years is an incredible run. You don't move off a head coach after one bad year if this ends up being a bad year, especially after you made it to the Super Bowl. We know how these Super Bowl hangovers oftentimes happen. We saw it last year with Philadelphia. We've seen it in previous years. The Niners kind of right now are dealing with that Super Bowl hangover. And if you move off of Kyle Shanahan, you're going to pay Brock Purdy without knowing who the offensive coach is going to be, who the head coach is going to be. What is the alternative if you want to move off of Kyle Shanahan? Now, I will say, if Kyle Shanahan were to get fired, Ben Johnson would probably be at the top of my list. I think he's the top offensive coordinator in the game. I love his creativity, pre-snap motion. He's elevated Jared Goff to the point where he's playing at an MVP level. I love how aggressive he is, especially with all of the trick plays. But he didn't want to take a head coaching job this offseason. So what's up with that? I thought that was a little bit weird. He didn't interview well, according to some people. So I don't think he's truly in danger of losing his job. But I will ask you, why was John York at practice the other day?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that the Niner PR kind of pushed back on me and said, hey, Dr. John York is often at practice when he's in town. Well, that's funny because I'm at practice and I haven't seen him. I only see him typically when they're having their low ebb moment of the season. Whenever they're having their low ebb moment, he appears at practice. I don't know if he appears at practice as some kind of motivating factor, if he's there to, check on things, put his own eyes on it. I don't know. But that's my observation. It's not scientific. I don't have a definitive proof that when they get a certain win percentage, there he is. It's just my notion of it from being around the team is that when they're struggling on the field, Dr. John York shows up. What does it mean? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think it means anything because at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan is so accomplished. If every head coach in the NFL, like sometimes I even think about it. If you could have every coach in football, who would you want? Well, you'd probably want Andy Reid right now, right?
Yep.
He's on top. But these things are group projects. So do I get Dave Taub? Do I get Spags? Do I get Brett Veach? I mean, I kind of like the combo. Do I get Mahomes? You know what I mean? So right now, Kansas City's got the best combo going. I think Roseman's pretty good, to be honest, in Philly as far as a GM. I think he's been pretty good. But Sirianni, I don't love. So I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say what's the best combination. I think Kyle Shanahan's a very good coach. I kind of think the Niners backslide this year is more tied to a backslide in personnel than in scheme or I think his scheme works. I don't think he's lost the locker room. I don't think there's any mutiny on the horizon or anything like that. I think it's just that their D-line is not as good. You replaced an all-pro linebacker with a guy who's not very good in Devondre Campbell. And surprisingly, your defense has regressed because of it. And now you got to go with Winters. You're a little slow at safety. They lack a little perimeter speed at both corner and wide receiver. Their offensive line's been neglected. They're one deep at tight end. Their receiving core has very little speed. So, I mean, you know what I mean? They haven't had McCaffrey all year. I kind of look at it more personnel wise. I mean, to me, I want to be fair to Lynch because he put together, I think, some very good rosters, but this roster has some holes. And I would point more at their back slot. To me, the Greenlaw to Campbell has been a dramatic and profound step backwards.
Huge. And we've also seen some players regress. Charvarius Mooney Ward hasn't been the same player.
Yep.
Trent
Ayuk
Williams
had
hasn't been the
regressed
same.
before he went out.
Who?
Ayuk.
Oh, yeah. Brandon Ayuk, not the same player. Trent Williams, not the same player. And so you've seen some regression from some of these players who you were really relying on. Jair Brown hasn't taken that step. Now, I do like this rookie class, Dominic Pooney, Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa, but who was running the front office when they drafted those players? It's Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And so right now, they're one of the top head coach general manager duos in the NFL. And since Kyle Shanahan rebuilt the Niners based upon every metric, every type of data point that you can point to, he has been one of the top coaches in the NFL, and the Niners have been one of the best teams in the NFL. And over the last few years, who have been the two best teams in the NFL? Kansas City and San Francisco. And so I get that people he can't win the big game. He's choking away the big games. He also put you in a position to where you have an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And so what is the alternative if you fire him? Do you also move off of John Lynch? Because they seem to kind of be a package duo. And then you have this roster that's very expensive, and you're going to bring in a new GM and a new head coach. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, if Ben Johnson were to be the guy, if you did move off of Kyle Shanahan, I wouldn't be against that. He'd probably be one of my top candidates. I also think it's interesting how people have been in the comment section on the 49ers report saying, fire Kyle, hire Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick might help your defense. Bill Belichick last year and over the last couple of years, even after Tom Brady left, had these Patriots defenses playing at a really high level, some of the top defenses in the NFL. And now that he's gone and Gerard Mayo is in, that defense has taken a step back. That's great. But his offenses were absolutely horrible and a straight up joke the last couple of years and have been since Tom Brady left. And so you might get better defensively, but offensively, you're going to take a massive step back. And you know who his offensive coordinator is going to be? It's probably going to be Josh McDaniels. Do you want to see a Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick offense for the San Francisco 49ers? I get it's a sexy name to talk about. I'm not sure how much better that makes you. And I'm not sure if Bill Belichick, with all of his Super Bowl rings, all of his success, one of the greatest coaches of all time, is up to date with where the NFL is right now and where it's trending. And so you can't just throw out the name Belichick over Kyle. You have to pose the questions and you have to talk about it in depth like I just kind of did right there.
Yeah, no question. Good stuff, man. Have a great weekend. What do you got? Any big plans? You going to any college football? You're out down there in the college football hotbed. What was the reaction down in the Lone Star State to Texas getting slapped around by Georgia last week?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So 2 weeks ago, I was out at a bar with hundreds of people for Texas, Oklahoma. Texas wins big. And then last week, they lose to Georgia. And so this area goes from being on a high to crashing down. I still think Texas is very, very good. They do have some quarterback questions. Quinn Ewers has regressed a little bit, and then they put in Arch Manning last week. Then they put Quinn Ewers back in the game. So what are they going to do moving forward? But I'll tell you what, the college slate tomorrow, it is loaded once again. There aren't many better things than to wake up on a Saturday morning, little bite in the air, leaves starting to turn, on the balcony, sipping coffee, watching College Game Day, taking in some college games. So I'll certainly do that for my Saturday. And then, of course, live for Niners Cowboys, a great watch party on tap on Sunday. And it's a must-win game for San Francisco.
No doubt. It's going to be good. Anytime you get two teams that are both desperate, that makes for a great game. And that's what we have. Niners, Cowboys, both teams are desperate.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome.